there is a code of conduct for the reigning Heisman winner, and he violated it once again. This is just out of bounds behavior for a reigning Heisman winner.
I tell you, he is out of control.
It's important that Johnny Football understands that the time for giving him a pass is over. This is unacceptable stuff.
They couldn't stop him. He transcended college football and also sports.
In 2013, a Washington Post columnist wrote that Johnny Manziel was, quote, unteachable and maybe unreachable. His own coach didn't really disagree. This is a guy who, at 20 years old, was already the most talked about athlete in America, a Heisman winner, a national punchline, and reportedly under criminal investigation by the NCAA, all at the same time.
Manziel madness has spawned the nickname Johnny Football.
Johnny Football.
Johnny Football. Johnny Football.
Opposing crowds didn't just want to beat his team, they wanted to personally watch him lose. And here's the part that made people even angrier. He was too good to actually stop.
Do things that everybody in college does, and I'm going to continue to enjoy my life. Hopefully, people don't hold me to a higher standard than that, but I am still in college and I am still going to live my life to the fullest.
He beat the #1 team in the country as a nobody freshman. He became the first true freshman to ever win the Heisman Trophy, and he did it all while giving the sport 100 different reasons to root against him. Money signs, autograph scandals, a fake ID arrest, a summer of headlines that had nothing to do with football. This is the story of how Johnny Manziel became the most hated quarterback college football has ever seen, and somehow also one of the most unforgettable. Before he was Johnny Football, he was just Johnny Manziel, a kid from Kerrville, Texas, playing quarterback at Tivy High School in the Texas Hill Country. He wasn't a can't-miss 5-star. Coming out of high school, he was ranked a 3-star recruit, the 37th best player in the entire state of Texas. But if you actually watched him play, the ranking made no sense. Every single week, it felt like Manziel was putting up video game numbers, throwing from ridiculous angles, breaking tackles, turning busted plays into 60-yard touchdowns. Recruiting analysts who covered him at the time say his high school tape looked like a preview of what Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray would later do at the college and pro level. Except this was happening years earlier, in small-town Texas, almost under the radar. He picked Texas A&M over offers from Baylor and Oregon. Nobody expected what came next.
Do you have a number on that, John? No, I don't know that. It's worked on between, my parents are doing most of it along with A&M, so it's not really, like I said, I'm here to play football, go to school, so that's what I'm trying to do.
In fact, nobody expected anything from him at all in year one. He redshirted his entire first season and didn't play a single game. Before Johnny Manziel threw a single college pass, he was already making headlines for the wrong reasons. In June of 2012, months before his breakout season even started, Manziel was arrested in College Station after a late-night altercation.
That little incident happens and I'm 4th on the depth chart, recently walking out of Bryan College Station jail and looking pretty bleak, and this is July.
Police charged him with disorderly conduct, failure to identify himself to officers, and possession of a fake ID. He spent hours in custody before being released. Texas A&M briefly suspended him, then reinstated him after an appeal. It was a small story at the time, a 19-year-old making a bad decision, the kind of thing that happens on college campuses every weekend. Almost nobody outside of Texas noticed. But looking back, it was the first data point in a pattern that would define his entire college career. Brilliant on Saturdays, chaos every other day of the week. 2 months later, Ryan Tannehill left for the NFL. The Texas A&M quarterback job opened up, and head coach Kevin Sumlin made the surprising call to hand the keys to the freshman with the fake ID and disorderly conduct charge. Manziel's first real signature moment came against Arkansas in September 2012. He put up 557 yards of total offense in a single game, breaking a 43-year-old SEC record that had belonged to Archie Manning. 2 games later, he topped himself, going for 576 total yards against Louisiana Tech, becoming the first player in SEC history with 2 500-yard total offense games in a single season. people started paying attention. But nobody was ready for November 10th, 2012. Texas A&M, unranked in most people's minds a year earlier, traveled to Tuscaloosa to face the #1 team in the country, the defending national champion, Alabama Crimson Tide, on their home turf in front of over 100,000 fans. The Aggies were nearly 2-touchdown underdogs. Manziel carved Alabama up. He finished with 2 total touchdowns, ran for extra yardage all game long, and helped Texas A&M jump out to a stunning 20-0 first quarter lead. Alabama clawed back, but it wasn't enough. Final score, Texas A&M 29, Alabama 24. One of the biggest road upsets in SEC history, delivered by a freshman. That's the game where Johnny Football stopped being a nickname and became a phenomenon.
He's gonna keep it. Touchdown! Touchdown, Aggies!
Manziel didn't hide from the moment either. He flashed the money sign to the Alabama crowd, a gesture that would become his signature and later one of the biggest reasons people couldn't stand him. A few weeks later, Manziel became the first true freshman in the history of college football to win the Heisman Trophy. He'd also become the first freshman to win the Davy O'Brien Award and the Manning Award. He threw for over 3,000 yards and rushed for over 1,000 in the same season, a feat only 4 other players in NCAA history had ever accomplished, and he did it faster than any of them. He was 20 years old, and he was the most famous college athlete in America. That's when things started to spiral.
The summer of 2013 is the offseason that permanently changed how the country saw Johnny Manziel. It started small, a deleted tweet where Manziel complained about a parking ticket, saying he can't wait to leave College Station, whenever it may be. To fans, it read as a Heisman winner who thought he was too big for his own school. Then came the Manning Passing Academy, a camp run by the Manning family for top college and high school quarterbacks. Manziel reportedly overslept and missed a session at an event run by arguably the most respected quarterback family in football history. It became a national story about entitlement. Then, photos and videos started surfacing all offseason. Manziel courtside at NBA games, at nightclubs, at parties, seemingly living the life of a celebrity rather than a student athlete preparing for a sophomore season. He was getting ejected from parties. He was constantly trending for reasons that had nothing to do with football. And it wasn't just an off-season thing. Manziel developed a reputation for living like a rock star all year round, out late, partying hard, photographed at clubs and events during the school week.
Down to third string, that's where Cleveland Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel sits in the lineup tonight. The former Texas A&M star was benched after video that apparently showed him partying here in Austin was released on social media. This video was reportedly taken last weekend in Austin during the Browns' bye week.
And then somehow showing up on Saturday and playing like the best quarterback in the country anyway. That contrast became part of the legend. People couldn't decide what was more unbelievable, that he was out partying 2 nights before a top 25 opponent, or that it never seemed to slow him down once the ball was snapped. Because once Saturday actually arrived, Manziel brought that same wild, uncoachable energy straight onto the football field. He wasn't a quiet game manager quarterback. He scrambled into chaos on purpose, extended plays until defenders were falling over trying to keep up, talked trash to defenders mid-drive, and celebrated in their faces after big plays. Teammates and coaches would later describe him as basically playing a different sport than everyone else on the field, equal parts brilliant and reckless, like he was trying to see how much he could get away with on every single snap. That same fearless, chaotic style that made him must-watch TV on Saturdays is exactly what made him so easy to hate everywhere else. But the story that nearly ended his college career came in August 2013. Reports surfaced that Manziel had been paid a 5-figure flat fee to sign autographs for memorabilia brokers during the BCS National Championship, a direct violation of NCAA amateurism rules at the time.
Scandal in college football tonight over what a college football player is accused of doing during Walter Camp weekend here in Connecticut.
Texas A&M quarterback Johnny Manziel accused of signing sports memorabilia for money. Sports teammates No Offense is here now with the latest and how fans are reacting to these accusations.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go get
get a room at the Fountain Blue. I'm going to set everything up in there. When you get done, shoot me a picture of everything, and I'll give you the code to the safe. For a 19-year-old kid, have about 100 grand in cash stuffed under your bed. It was awesome.
The NCAA opened a formal investigation. For a while, it looked like the reigning Heisman winner might be suspended for the entire season or even ruled permanently ineligible. In the end, the NCAA and Texas A&M reached a resolution that, to a lot of fans, felt like a slap on the wrist. Manziel would sit out only the first half of the Aggies' 2013 season opener against Rice. To supporters, it proved the rules were unfair to unpaid college athletes making programs millions of dollars. To critics, it proved Manziel got special treatment because he was too valuable to sit. Either way, by the time the 2013 season actually started, a huge chunk of the country had already made up its mind about him. Manziel's first game back from suspension against Rice should have been a chance to quiet the noise. Instead, it became the single game that cemented him as the most hated player in college football. Coming off the bench in the second half, Manziel threw 3 touchdown passes, but it's what happened around the touchdowns that made headlines. After one score, he mimed signing an autograph toward a Rice defender, a direct middle finger, essentially, at the NCAA investigation that had just put his season in jeopardy. Later in the game, he flashed the money sign again. Then, after his final touchdown throw, he got in the face of 2 Rice defenders, pointed at the scoreboard, and was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. His own head coach, Kevin Sumlin, benched him on the spot. The next day, one Washington Post column ran with a headline calling Manziel unteachable and maybe unreachable. Opposing fan bases across the SEC had a new rallying cry. Away stadiums that season didn't just cheer against Texas A&M, they specifically, personally, loudly hated Johnny Manziel and let him hear it on every single snap.
Point in time of where I was at in life, I failed. Flopped. I didn't make it and be what I needed to be successful. And I flopped. I failed. I wasn't good enough at that point in my time to get to where I needed to be. Let me start over. Let me try again. You just look in the camera and say, yo, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I apologize. My bad. I'm going to keep it moving.
Yeah.
You guys want to rock with me? Rock with me. If not, it is what it is. And that's what you do with life, bro.
And somehow, in the middle of all that noise, he kept playing brilliant football. Against Alabama in September 2013, in a game A&M ultimately lost 49-42, Manziel threw for a school record 464 yards and 5 touchdowns, one of the most electric individual quarterback performances of the entire college football season in a loss. Against Mississippi State, he threw for 446 yards and tied his career high with 5 touchdown passes. Then came his final college game, the Chick-fil-A Bowl against Duke, December 2013. Texas A&M trailed 38-17 at halftime. It looked like an embarrassing way for Manziel to end his college career. Instead, he orchestrated one of the great comeback performances of his career, finishing with 382 total yards and 5 total touchdowns as the Aggies stormed back to win 52-48. He walked off the field, having thrown for nearly 7,900 yards and rushed for over 2,100 more across only 2 seasons as a starter, numbers that still stand among the greatest 2-year stretches any quarterback has ever had in college football. He finished 5th in Heisman voting that year.
Get out what you put in. If you put in $10 in, you get $10 out. And that's the way my NFL career went. I didn't put what I needed to, heart, soul, everything that I did in college into the NFL because I didn't like certain things about it.
So why did college football hate Johnny Manziel so much? It wasn't really about the football. Nobody boos a player for being too good. It was everything around the football. It was the money sign thrown in the face of the sport's biggest programs, right as questions swirled about him actually taking money. It was the autograph scandal, which made him look like he thought the rules simply didn't apply to him. It was the tweets, the parties, the oversleeping at a Manning family camp, the constant sense that he valued his own celebrity over his own team. Fans of every other program in the SEC had a real, specific reason to want to see him lose, and he rarely gave them the satisfaction. But here's the complicated part of the legacy. A lot of what got Manziel hated in 2013, an athlete leveraging his own fame, questioning why he couldn't profit off his own name and autograph while the NCAA made millions off him, is now, just a few years later, completely legal in college sports through NIL deals. Manziel wasn't just ahead of the game on the field. He was arguing for a version of college athletics that now actually exists. Johnny Manziel's college career lasted only 2 seasons as a starter, but it might be the most talked about 2-year stretch in the history of the sport. A run that included a road upset over the defending national champions, the first true freshman Heisman in history, a national eligibility scandal, and a fan base-wide hatred that followed him into almost every road stadium he ever played in. Whether you loved him or couldn't stand him, one thing was true every single Saturday: you could not look away.